Hi, welcome to Green Sunrise Podcast. I've been live for a wee bit now, so I try to get my speaker sorted actually. My sound. I'm not expecting many people to be on this tonight. I'm just literally fucking about. But let's see how we can go again. Just going over this for 5 minutes. I've been looking at this article for a wee while now, and I just want to ask some questions based on the article. I have spoke to Juliette online, but Juliette Ryan. So let's talk about who Juliette Ryan is, and yeah, the speakers actually might not sound too good. The speaker won't sound too good. My sound's not going to sound that great because my speaker's not there. I'm just going to check this. I'm going to leave this. But we'll see if anybody comes on. We'll actually see if anybody comes on live. I'm not expecting anybody to come on live, but you never know. So, who is Juliette Ryan? The question is, who is Juliette Ryan? So, before we get into Juliette Ryan, before we start, I want you to think about something. When was the last time you did nothing? No phone, no television, no music, no podcast, no scrolling, no checking for messages, just you and your own thoughts. For me, it's actually quite difficult to remember the last time you just sat with your thoughts. Because every moment now that we have, every single moment is filled with something, isn't it? It's filled with, if you're waiting on a bus, for example, you bring the phone out. If you're sitting on the couch, the phone comes out. We're walking somewhere, right? The headphones go in, phone's out. Sometimes we tell ourselves that we're relaxing. We've got the headphones on, phone's out, we're just chilling. But that's what brought me to this stuff, right? We're actually going through our minds, and we're not really giving a chance for our minds to relax or to rest. So what's happening is this piece of writing came to me. Somebody sent me it, and It was called How to Pay Back a Dopamine Debt. And Juliette writes, here is your brain, and the HIYB, here is your brain, where she explores neuroscience through the lens of being a PhD engineer and a mum raising two children. And there's something that she says about her work that I absolutely love, right? She says, think light bulb moments, not tips. Now, because this episode isn't about telling you or anybody or us just live, isn't it about me telling you to throw away your phone? Or to throw your phone in the bin, for example, right? And it's certainly not me telling you that dopamine is bad. It's about becoming curious with ourselves. Why do we keep scrolling? Why do we keep scrolling, doom scrolling, whatever name you've got for scrolling, right? Why do we keep scrolling and going over it, thinking that we're enjoying it? Now, me personally, I do a lot of stuff on Twitter, right? On X, and I like X. I like X. It's a good source to find out information, whether that be from a football team or whatever. But I'm not really enjoying it. It's like I'm constantly reading the same stuff, just in different versions of whatever it is I'm reading, right? And you spend like an hour or 2 hours on your phone, and you feel awkward about it. You feel a wee bit flat and deflated when you come off the phone. Why does nothing? Why does doing nothing though, right? Feel uncomfortable? I don't know. Maybe doing nothing for you it feels great. I mean, I love the whole part of doing nothing. Right now, I'm doing a live, just try to get stuff off my head, right? Why don't you, when we look at it, why does it feel uncomfortable thinking about just being bored? Right, so I'm looking at this article and I'm going to put it in the corner here, just so that you know it's there, right? I'm going to put it in the corner just to give you a quick gander at it. Let's see. Let's mix my channel. Let's share the screen, right? I won't talk about it over and over, but let me just talk about the sharing the screen. I'm going to go on back. I've spoke to a few people from the podcast, and they're going to come on and talk about it. But I'm just giving my kind of initial thoughts based on it, right? So this thing here is called how to. Let's just see. Here is your brain, right? And let's just see. Here is your brain, and she talks about precisely 65-minute. A mind-numbing escape was precisely 65 minutes. Now she talks about the 65 minutes where she is one of her girls or one of her babies are sleeping, right? Her kids are sleeping, and she's taking this. She knew that it was 65 minutes. It was always 65 minutes. It was always down to a point, right? Where a 6-year-old daughter was a toddler years before she started drawing whimsical illustrations for the Here Is Your Brain, the HIYB. So she would take a midday nap, and she would have exactly 1 hour and 5 minutes. And what she would do with that 1 hour and 5 minutes, she would get lost in doom scrolling, right? She's getting lost in doom scrolling, And I mean, the article's amazing. When I first read it, I'm like, that's me, man. That's me. And I know people can relate to that. I know 100% people can relate to that. So, like racking up your debt and stuff like that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down at the minute. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop sharing the screen at the moment. But how to pay back your dopamine stuff, right? So we have become accustomed to this constant stimulation. So based on the first part of the article, she's talking about the stimulation and how we're constantly just fucking scrolling, right? Pardons the French. And we've forgotten how important it is to be quiet, right? We're looking for quietness, boredom, and genuine human connection. So we've actually forgotten how to have. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know lots of people that have forgotten how to be human. Like like we kind of we find it hard to talk to another human being, right? Some people might know. I don't know, but I've noticed that people find it really hard to just have a normal conversation, especially if their phone's there. If their phone's there, there's no point. There is no point in having a conversation with somebody if their phone's on in their hand, right? So she calls it this idea of dopamine debt. And when I read the article, the one thing I found myself thinking was about my own life, my phone, my habits, my mental health, other people's mental health. I'm kind of, it's dead funny. I'm looking at other people and saying that they're spending too much time on the phone, whilst I'm spending too much time on my phone, right? Uh, and like even here, even what we're doing at Green Sunrise podcast, uh, so I'm trying to work it out, right? I'm trying to get better at this stuff. So today we're going to explore a wee bit of Juliette's work with me. Uh, sorry, so I'm going to explore Juliette's work with you, not as a neuroscientist, not as an expert, but simply as another human being trying to understand what all this noise might be doing to us, right? So welcome to on this podcast. Let's start talking about dopamine debt. Now, this is going to be stuff that I'm going to talk about, and we're going to talk about it. So let me look at something that's I found really interesting. Let's use Juliet as so, and I want to thank Juliette Ryan for this article. I have already sent Juliette a message to ask if it's all right if I can use this, if it's okay if I can use her article and talk about it, because I think it's her article. I don't want to make it seem like not giving it a kudos, or not giving it the not giving it the correct amount of time, or giving it enough credit, right? Because I can't give this any more credit than what I'm giving it. So if I don't come across properly, just read it yourself, read the article yourself. Let me know what you think, and then we can see. Right, let's just see. If there's any comments? There'll be no comments, but never mind. Let's see. Start a conversation. So if you've got any comments you want to talk about it, then just hit me comments. Let me just see what it says. I'm still getting used to doing. I'm not doing a live on this forever. I'm not doing any lives on this forever. So I'm not expecting anybody to comment. But if you've watched the live or watched this and repeat, and you want to comment on based on this article of the dopamine debt and the fact that we're destroying our brains in a sense, let me ask. These are 10 questions I'm going to ask, or 10 things I'm going to look at. So, of 10 things worth pointing out on this live, we rarely allow ourselves to be bored anymore, right? Thinking about waiting at the bus, standing in the queue, or even going to the toilet, the phone comes out almost automatically. That matters because our minds rarely get a genuine break from input. Scrolling doesn't necessarily mean we're relaxing, right? We can lie on the couch for an hour, 2 hours, and we think we're resting, but we're continually feeding our brain with new information. Juliette's article raises the important distinction between rest and stimulation. Pay attention to how you feel after using your phone. This might be the biggest takeaway, but don't only ask, did I enjoy that? Ask, how do I feel now that I've stopped? Flat, restless, irritable, motivated, or calm? Do you feel any of those? I don't. Coming off the phone, I don't feel any of that stuff at all. Wanting something isn't the same as enjoying it. This is fascinating from a mental health perspective. We've probably all continued scrolling, even though we're not enjoying what we're seeing. Recognizing behaviour gives us an opportunity to interrupt it. So I became aware of the fact that I've fucking doom scrolled for an hour, but I've not got anywhere. It's not done anything good for me. We're constantly jumping from one stimulation to another. Phone, television, food, music, podcast, phone again. Sometimes the issue isn't one particular activity. It's that there's never any space between them. Boredom might actually be something we need, right? I like the fact that I've been looking at boredom. My journals were started through boredom, and my journals that I've created or I've made in the past, I've not done any recently, and I need to restart. But journals were all created from me just writing, just sitting with my own thoughts, whether that be going through some sort of depressive state or some sort of low moment in my life, and I've started to write. I've started to write down just my thoughts, and then I found myself becoming like I'm able to answer them. Do you know what I mean? I'm able to answer my thoughts, and I'm able to come up with ways out of situations in my life. So boredom might actually be something we need. We've almost started treating boredom as a problem that needs fixing. So Juliet flips that around quite. Mundane moments can be part of recovery. That it's a great connection to the lost art of being theme, right? And I've done a wee podcast audio, nobody's listened to it, right? I don't care. But I've done this podcast based on the lost art of being bored, right? Nobody's watched it, nobody's listened to it. I think there's 3 people or something that's listened to it. But that just shows you that mental health, nobody really wants to talk about it. But for people who do want to talk about it, if you want to talk about it, then here they've got this opportunity to look at something together and maybe become aware of what's happening. And I'm going to be, I actually feel that this article is a springboard to, it's like a springboard to, it's like a springboard to start again, right? And I'll just leave this in the background whilst I'm kind of looking at my thoughts or looking at my notes that I've got. You don't have to turn everything into content, right? When I started doing the podcast, I thought, right, everything needs to be content. And then I was forgetting that some of the people that I'm inviting on the podcast, for example, people are coming in and I'm not giving any trigger warnings to the talks that we're entering, and I'm releasing their stories into the world, but not thinking about what the impact that has on them. And I think about that all the time. So you don't have to turn everything into content. Going for a walk doesn't require headphones. Cooking doesn't require YouTube. Somebody does for me. Driving doesn't always require a podcast. Sometimes allowing yourself to experience one thing at a time could be valuable. Human connection is completely different from digital stimulation. So Juliette talks about playing with her daughter, right? Being with a partner, talking with close friends. For mental health, there's something important here, right? Being connected online isn't necessarily the same as feeling connected to another person. And I've noticed this, so I'll backtrack, right? I actually want this to be when I talk about the springboard of mental health, or a springboard of something that I see and that I've seen through this article. I want everybody to read it and get it instead of just reading it once and not getting it. That makes sense. So I am I'm looking at things, and I want people to kind of just start creating again. Start instead of consuming. So, like I said, this my next point is creating and consuming aren't the same thing. Writing, learning, gardening, cooking, making music. That's one thing. I've got a guitar with a broken string that I need to fix, and I need to start practicing again. I started practicing the guitar ages ago, fucking a year and a bit ago. It's not my guitar, by the way. So I need to get back. But still, I broke it. I need to fix it, and I always keep thinking I need to get back to that. I've started exercising again. I've got my behind this screen. There's my board of it's my plan. I'm in August. It's August the 20th. August the 17th and 18th, I was doing weights. Right, I was lifting weights. And the 19th, I started to slow it down and started to really look at how to do it properly. Today's my rest day. Tomorrow we'll be back at it again soon enough. So I'm going to finish this soon. So working on something really meaningful requires effort and participation. The key word is participation. So you compare how you feel after an hour creating something with how you feel after an hour mindlessly consuming something, right? The goal shouldn't be to become frightened of dopamine or technology. The whole point in this is just to become aware. So that it's an important point that I'd make in this episode, or so in this live. Dopamine isn't bad, and we know that, right? Dopamine itself isn't a bad thing. We know that, and the answer isn't necessarily throwing your smartphone away. The useful questions, or the question raised by this article, is whether we're giving our minds enough quiet, sleep, movement, meaningful activity, and a genuine human connection between all that stimulation. So we can still do what we're doing, right? But can we look at it and just give what we're meant to give to our own lives? Can we stop doing the same things over and over? So I don't mind actually repeating these words, or looking at the article more so, or moreover, like over and over, and until I get it really right, or until it just becomes right. It's in me, and maybe other people would look like that as well. Maybe other people are saying, well, maybe that's a good thing. Uh, I'm going to see if there's any comments. There's no comments. I know there's no comments. You would tell me if there's comments, but I'm going to see if I can just look at something, right? Oh, by the way, if you've not subscribed to the channel, please hit like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel again, and I'm trying to get back into it. I'm trying to make this a thing. I think it would be really good if we can get busy on this. There's a lot of interviews and people that have confirmed they will talk to me on the podcast again. I've spoke to some of the co-hosts, and they're saying, "I 100%, let's get busy again." So it would be good to get any chat, any comments, even if you've not watched this for weeks, and this was happening weeks ago, so this is no longer relevant. I want to be looking at this article and using it again, and talk about this springboard, right? Using this article is getting people to wake up, right? Can that be a thing? Can we get people to wake up and smell the coffee, or smell whatever? Decide on a life. Real talk, real people, real hope, all that jazz. I want to just see what we can do with it, right? And I will repeat this. I will get this into my head. In fact, let's see what else we can look at. Let's take this down there. What I like about this is the drawings. I feel sick. Me after watching too much iPad. The drawings are from Juliette's kid. One of her kids does the drawings. That's also a nice touch, a really nice touch. She talks about this thing called the felt effects of dynorphin, and an elegant coincidence, paying back the debt. She talks about this thing called the felt effects of dynorphin appear to recede over similar time frame to dopamine receptor resensitization. So both measured in hours rather than minutes. Dynorphin is our brain giving us a direct chemical barometer of the status of our dopamine system. So as long as we feel that unease, that flatness, that restless aversion, it tells us those receptors still need more time to recover. So how long does it take for dopamine receptors to recover? For a debt to be repaid, how to pay back, right? What they're saying is there isn't an actual time. What they're saying here is you start to feel the adverse effects of dynorphin, which can really kick in around 45 minutes. Probably maybe before that. 45 minutes into stimulation. That's a strong sign of your dopamine system needs a good couple of hours to recover from that load. So if you're spending 45 minutes, you need 2 hours. You need 2 hours. You need 2 hours. You need 2 hours. If you spend 1 hour, you need another 2 hours away from the phone, away from the stimulation. No headphones, no screens, no telly, nothing. 2 hours. Reading a book, that's the way of doing it, right? Again, you read the further you read on the article, restoring your dopamine system. Something that helps your dopamine receptors resensitize. There isn't a cellular process according to this that process that cannot be accelerated. So the only time is basically anything that allows your dopamine system, your limbic dopamine system to stand down, to turn everything off, right? Just turn it all off. So we need to look for activities that keeps the limbic dopamine quiet, anti-spike, since we know the limbic dopamine system spikes a novelty, uncertainty, and high value rewards. Can pretty clearly see what conditions will allow for restoration. Safety, certainty, no rewards, no surprises, no stimulation. Again, this is what's on the article. Gentle movement. So low stimulation, go for a sleep. Go to sleep, man. Just go to sleep. It's 10:30. I'm going to sleep soon. Half an hour. I'm taking some chocolate, hard mushroom chocolate thing to unwind, and I'm going to bed. Right. If you've got an eye mask, use it. I don't know what it is. Somebody's got my eye mask. Sitting, staring at the window. Sitting without input, stare at the window. Can you do that? Can you do that? I don't know. Being alone with your thoughts, all qualify. They might be terrifying, and it's not normal. If you've got a highly stimulated life, but just don't do it. Gentle movement, so light movement works well too. A gentle walk. I'm trying to get my steps up. My steps are at 13,000 a day. I'm fine with that. 13,552. My steps are going up, right? The light movement, a gentle walk, light cycling. Just avoid using headphones. Don't introduce a podcast either. So it's like you go for a ride on your bike, you put the headphones on. You go for a walk, headphones on. Go for a run, put the headphones on. Don't put anything. Don't add anything. Chores, mundane tasks in the house, cleaning up, folding clothes, cooking, cleaning, man. Oh my God. No cue triggered spikes. Again, don't play music. Don't put your headphones in. Just clean. Just get busy with it. Gentle cognitive engagement. Gentle cognitive engagement can also help crossword puzzles, Sudoku, light reading, crafts. Crafts is something I'm going to get into. I've got a new job that has crafts. Crafts is going to be part of my new job, right? But sitting, all these stuff that I've kind of mentioned, they all sit low enough, and the uncertainty and the limbic dopamine, staying it quiet, keeping it quiet. Grounded connection is another one. Like she's talking about, restoration isn't found. It's not found in a monk life, solitude, or low stimulation. Sometimes it can be found with connection, the presence of loved ones, friends, genuine connection, which I love. I don't do enough of. I've lost a lot of things. I've lost a lot of people in my life. I'm losing people. I've lost people right now. It breaks my heart to think that it's just done. Do you know what I mean? But there are people out there that have lost people who are still here, but they've lost them. And when you think about it, it's like it's a sad state of affairs. Something like all right. Most people just go, you know, it's done. That's done. They just got on with it. They just got on with it, and they just think, I'll be fine. But we don't realise that we could potentially get some of that back, potentially get loved ones back into our lives, by becoming aware, finding a quiet moment with your partner or your friends or your children, and these are wee things that we can do all the time. So Juliette, again, in her article, which is such a beautiful article, and I've actually spoke to Juliette. I sent her a message and I asked her if it was all right that I could use this and talk about it. She's like, she, she was like, of course, like that's what she wants. She wants people to recognise her work and become aware. And when she sent me and I would love to get Julia on the podcast. That could be a thing. Hopefully that's a thing. So this is like, if Juliette watches this live, which she probably won't, but she might. If Juliette Ryan watches this podcast episode, I'm inviting you to Green Sunrise Podcast. There you go. I would like to have a conversation online and talk about this. And I think it should be shared out. I think it should be really shared out with people, with everybody. Because I do believe that most people have an issue with their phones, right? I have an issue with my phone. I've got a massive issue with my phone. And I don't even realise it. Or I do realise it. Obviously I realise it. But it's time to talk about it. It's time to get this podcast up and running again. And yeah, I'm going to. I don't mind repeating this over and over until I get it, until somebody else gets it. This her website in this. Here is your brain on Substack.com. I'll put this in the comments. In fact, let's just see. I think I can do that just now. Actually, copy. I think I can put that in the comments just now. I don't know if I don't know if you can read it. I put it in the comments. this article anyway. I should have done that at the start. But never mind, doesn't matter. Give me a wee thumbs up if you like this, and let's talk. I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to start it. I'm going to do it again. But I don't mind doing this in the moment and just throwing that out there now. I think throwing this out would be great. And let's have a good night. This is late. And yeah. Well, that's jazz. Till my phone's off. Goodbye.